Today I'm showing you how I just built this $400 gaming PC and it actually uses all brand new parts other than just one component. The point of this build is to keep things as cheap as possible, buying mostly brand new stuff from places like Amazon and Newegg, but then also making a small gamble on a used GPU to make sure we're getting the best price performance as possible. The GPU we're featuring used to be the king of value, but I admittedly haven't touched it for a while, and we're also going to be going back to the signature color scheme that I originally fell in love with in PC building. Starting with the CPU, I chose the Ryzen 5 5600 and I snagged this on Amazon for just $108. You may see this at a bit more expensive of a price right now, but even if you have to spend a few extra dollars, there's a whole lot to love about this CPU, which I've included on the screen now. Since I did buy it from Amazon, that means it'll come with the CPU cooler, unlike buying from AliExpress, and I of course painted that all red to go with our color scheme. The motherboard for the 5600 is the ASRock A520M-HDV, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I wouldn't go with this pick unless you are actually trying to do what I did, which is keeping the build as cheap as possible by only using new parts. Part of the reason why AM4 is still such an awesome platform is because it gives you upgrade potential without having to replace your motherboard, but with an A520, you're kind of eliminating that feature. Going from the 5600, you'll probably only consider upgrading to maybe a 5700 X3D, and I definitely would not recommend doing that with just an A520 board, much less the cheapest one possible like the HDV. If you have an extra 20 to 30 bucks to spend, I'd rather that go towards a B550 or even B450, but if you don't, then this one gets the job done for now. Next up for the RAM, this is the PNY XLR8 Gaming 2x8GB kit clocked at 3200 MHz. I'm definitely loving the red and black color scheme, which was of course the main factor to go with this kit, but the PNY and even XLR specifically products have honestly been sneakily increasing in reputation and quality over the last year or so, and it's great to see that they're making high-end RTX 4080 Super GPUs as well as super budget $28 DDR4 RAM kits. We haven't talked about PNY too much over the last 5 years, but they seem to be doing everything right, staying out of the drama, at least for now, and the prices have been looking pretty appealing. What's also appealing is this Silicon Power A60 1TB NVMe drive, and I usually buy these on Amazon for like $55, but I snagged this one down at $48. I've actually been seeing more and more Gen 3 1TB NVMe's slip down under the $50 price point lately, so that's great to see, and even though this drive isn't breaking world records or using the latest NVMe technology, it gets the job done, which is all we care about for this build. That's definitely the theme if you haven't noticed. Same thing can be said about the power supply too. This is the MSI Mag A650BN, and I've already explained in so many videos why this is a solid option for budget builds, but here they are again. I'm also plugging in some of these Asia Horse 16 gauge red and black cable extensions. For a red and black build, how could you not go all out with an extension kit like these? And Asia Horse is the best in the business in my opinion. Moving on, we get to the case, and this may look familiar if you've been watching my long form videos. This is the same $50 GameMax forge that I used in the $600 black and yellow electric build from a few weeks ago, and I told you all in that video that I bought a second one for a different budget build. Here we are with that, and although this isn't the most sophisticated case with premium materials and loads of features, it's honestly not terrible for 50 bucks because it comes with all the cooling and RGB that we need. And if you did miss that video, I definitely have to inform you of the cat and kid proof power switch. The case comes with a physical key that you can move to red or green, which removes the risk of that pesky cat or kid hitting the power button and shutting down your PC. It's honestly kind of cool. And finally, the last component to seal the deal with our $400 mostly new parts build is the GPU, and to keep things as cheap as possible, I went with this Power Color Red Devil RX 580 that I snagged on eBay used for 50 bucks. This is the 8GB model, so VRAM isn't an issue, and the performance is pretty respectable considering how old this GPU is. The RX 580 launched in 2017 at an MSRP of $229, and it was honestly pretty good value back then. From 2019 to 2022, it was crazy good value for a used GPU around 100 to 150, and now it's still holding strong as a decent option around 50 bucks. A $50 GPU isn't gonna smoke games like it used to, even in 1080p, but we'll see in the upcoming benchmarking section that it still has a little bit of juice left in the tank. Before doing that though, here's what the final parts list is looking like. I did go a touch over the $400 target price, but honestly, there just wasn't any more room to cut the budget with the deals that I was working with. The CPU, RAM, and SSD were pretty much the lowest prices that I've ever seen brand new for those products, and realistically, if you copy this today, it might be around a $430 to $440 bill. So next up, let's fire up some benchmarks to see how well this RX 580 can hang going into 2025. First up, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 6, since that's one of the only games I'm personally playing right now, and I know this isn't gonna sound amazing, but it actually cranked out 71 FPS in 1080p minimum settings while keeping a 100% resolution scale. This isn't gonna help if you're trying to compete at the highest level or anything, but this is a brand new game that has pretty decent graphics, and we're still able to enjoy that above 60 FPS with a $50 GPU. Next up, we have a little bit easier of a title to run, which is Fortnite, and in 1080p with pro settings, we got 120 26 average FPS. Not too shabby. And finally, here's X Defiant, which I'd argue is the best game out of the three.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
And in 1080p low, go figure, we got the best results here with 137 FPS. Here's the rest of the games that we tested, and we'll need to peek at the very demanding AAA titles. Games like Cyberpunk and Starfield aren't quite able to hit 60 FPS anymore in 1080p, but we still got some pretty decent results with Black Myth, Hogwarts Legacy, and even Helldivers 2 just getting above 60. For the easier to run titles like Counter-Strike and Apex Legends, it's no problem at all. Honestly, this is pretty surprising, and I'm glad to see that the RX 580 can still kick it almost 8 years after it launched. But if you don't want to go with that old of a GPU, then head to my totally free zttbuildhelp.com and click on this GPU comparison chart. Here you can quickly see how the RX 580 stacks up against other cards like the RX 5500 XT and the GTX 1650 Super. If you want a newer card, then just work your way more towards the left side of this list, and the higher you go up, the more performance that you'll get. Remember to always confirm benchmarks with YouTube videos in combination with a chart like this though. There's also a bunch of other resources on zttbuildhelp.com that will help you. And if you're willing to spend a little bit more money around the $500 mark for a custom gaming PC, then feel free to click the video that's on the screen now.